Aloha Art Travelers, I'm Miss Fleet and welcome to Art Island. I'm so excited to be able to share my art lessons with you again that you can do right in your own home. We're going to be focusing on using art supplies that you can find right in your kitchen. And our focus today is I'm going to show you how to make your very own clay. When we make our clay, I'm also going to show you how to make your own island tiki. So we're going to use a few tools today that you can find right in your kitchen. Whatever we use today, you need to make sure that you have permission from your parent or guardian to actually use these things. So I'm going to first start off by showing you the tools we need to mix our clay together. So we're going to start off with a 1/2 measuring cup, a 1/4 measuring cup, so a little smaller, a mixing bowl, and it doesn't have to be really big either. This is just your run-of-the-mill cereal bowl. And then to make our clay, we're going to need 3 ingredients. You're going to need table salt. So you need to make sure that it does not say kosher or sea salt, because that salt's actually going to be a little bit too thick for this clay to work. So table salt is thin enough to be perfect. You're going to need flour, so it's going to help everything kind of stick together, and it's just regular white all-purpose flour. And lastly, again, to help your clay get a little bit sticky too, you're going to need to mix in warm water. So we're going to get started mixing our clay all together and making our tiki after this commercial break.
There's a great day waiting for you with everything you want to do. Great park, great lake, great day. Cedar Point, the amazement park by the lake. A dream of a screaming summer day. Great park, great lake, great day. Cedar Point, great park, great lake, great day. We'll take you away to waves of fun, to the greatest coasters under the sun. There's a great, great lake just a splash away. Summer was made for a Cedar Point day.
This summer, get away to Cedar Point. We've got a beachfront hotel, a camper village for your RV, a marina for your boat, and lots of great restaurants, all on the shores of Lake Erie.
Cedar Point!
Welcome back, art travelers. Let's get started. I have my mixing bowl ready to go, my 1/2 cup of flour. Make sure that's all in there. A 1/4 cup of salt. And before I add the water, I'm actually going to use my hands just to give this a nice little mix, just to get us started. Now again, if you chose to use a spoon for this step, you can of course mix this with a spoon, but I'll let you know, you're gonna need to get your hands dirty later. When I add my 1/4 cup of water, I'm going to actually slowly mix in my clay. So I'm not gonna add all of it at once. So I put a little bit at a time, and I slowly start to mix it in. And you guys can start seeing, even just looking at my hands, it's starting to get a little bit sticky, a little bit messy. So like I said, even though it might be a little bit messy, it's a little bit easier to mix this with your hands as opposed to a spoon. All right, so I'm at a point right now where I can start seeing, you'll see it's really messy, my dough is starting to come together. It's not all the way together yet. You see there's some spots in the bottom here, but what I'm actually gonna start doing is kind of like squishing it all together for a little bit. So I'm gonna have to start peeling some of that stuff off of my fingers, start squishing it together, and my goal is to be able to squish this and form one ball of dough. So you can call this clay. A lot of people can call this salt dough because one of the main ingredients is salt. All right, I have my ball of dough, but if I look into my bowl, I still have a few things in there. So I'm gonna try my best to gather up those ingredients. So I'm kind of just sticking that dough down in there to pick it up. As you guys are making your dough, maybe the measuring got a little bit tricky for you. If your dough is too sticky, add a little bit more flour. If it's too dry, like it's just crumbling apart, add a little bit more water. Again, if you have to add extras of any of the ingredients, add a little bit at a time. All right, almost there. So you want to make sure that when you are done making your dough, it's not going to stick to your hands anymore. All right, so I have a little spot on me there, but I think we're good. When I'm done, I'm going to, again, form it into one neat dough ball. So let's get started and make our tiki. As you guys see, I put down a small piece of foil on my workspace because as this salt dough dries, it actually gets a little bit sticky. So I have my finished one here. You see it's drying on this side, but it's still drying on the bottom. If I were to put it down on my surface, it does get a bit stuck. So I would hate for you guys to accidentally rip your piece. And what I found is foil does a really good job of just letting it dry. We're going to get our salt dough. And what we're going to do first, you guys see here, I'm starting to kind of pinch off a little bit of that dough. Your goal is to get one big sphere of dough and one smaller one. This small one is what we're going to use to actually make the details on our face. So I'm going to put that to the side for now. I want to make sure this is a nice sphere ready to go. And this is what we're going to be building on. So I'm going to have you take your most important tool, your hand. And what I want you to do next is we're going to squish our ball down a little bit. Make that formed nice, because this is going to be our face. Now you want to squish until your dough is about the thickness of a cookie or a pancake. If it's too thin, it will break when it's dry. Okay, I'm going to take my extra salt dough, and I think what we'll do is we'll start off with the eyes. So I'll take a little bit off there, and I know I want 2 eyes. And I'm not going to do anything too crazy with this yet. So I'm just going to do circle eyes. I'll put them where I want them. I'm going to squish them down just a little bit, just to help them stick. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit more of my salt dough. And what I'm going to make next is called a coil. So with a coil, I'm taking my dough and I'm kind of rolling it back and forth so that it looks like a little snake. And I'm going to make the eyebrows. So you can decide to have one big eyebrow like that, kind of like Frida Kahlo. But I think for me, I want 2 separate eyebrows. So I just ripped that coil in half. Now the thing that I love about tikis is they always have these crazy eyebrows on them. They always look so extreme with their facial features. They always look a little angry. Maybe you want your tiki to look a little happy. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to roll out another coil. Maybe I want this coil to be a little bit thicker. I think I want to get a little more on there. And we're going to make the nose. Again, just going to squish that down. It's looking a little like Squidward. I'm rolling out another coil. And you guys see, a lot of the times when I'm adding my clay, it starts off with a coil. I think I want to show off my eyes a little bit more. I think I'm going to put a little coil beneath each of my eyes here. Now again, your tiki doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Maybe you decide you don't want to make a tiki. Maybe you want to make an animal instead. Or maybe a portrait of you. It's all up to you. You are the artist. It is your creativity. Ooh, I'm starting to run out of room for the mouth here. For my tiki's mouth, again, I start with a coil. I kind of want him to have like a crazy looking mouth. So place it down, squish it so that it sticks. I hope I have enough room at the bottom. I like when I make these because they never all turn out exactly the same. I want my tiki's mouth to be open. Let's see, to me it's looking a little bit empty at the top here. So again, I think I'm going to add a couple little details. On this tiki, I got a little stuck there. You can see I took a few coils and added a few lines at the top here. But I think this one, since it's already starting to look just a little different, I think I might design it a little differently at the top. Like maybe instead of the lines, I'll take little pieces of clay and add dots. Because I want each of my art projects to look unique. So I'd say really take your time. Think about what you want to add to your tiki to make yours look unique. All right, so if I see here, that is my finished tiki. I'm gonna let him dry. He will take a few days to dry out. You'll see the difference right away tomorrow. Because you see this one, the color is a little lighter. He's starting to get a little bit harder. And once he starts looking like this, I'm actually going to flip him over and I'm going to actually have him dry out like that for another day. That way this side has a chance to dry. Thank you guys again for giving this a try. Please make sure that whatever you make, take a picture of it, send it to either me or your teacher. That way we can all see your creativity. Thanks again for joining me for Art Island. Aloha, and until we meet again.